Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to Venusian Womb, a womb journey where dreams are seeded, identities are alchemized, and the journey inward begins.
This season, we are honoring a dream in gestation, a womb journey exploring the sacred phase between dreaming and birthing. It's about the phase where something meaningful is taking shape within you, even if you can't see it yet.
I'm Milena.
And I'm Megan.
Let's begin by taking a slow, deep breath together. Feel yourself arrive, land in your body.
This is a space to pause, to reflect, to connect, and to grow at your own pace.
We invite you to join us as we sit in conversation, share stories, and explore what it really means to be in the process of becoming. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Venusian Womb Podcast. We are so excited and grateful to have you join us for this episode. We are going to be talking about the full body yes and what it means to manifest in the body. So just giving you a little bit of what to expect in our flow for this episode. So we're going to start off with what manifestation is in the quantum. How do we manifest through our mind body? We're going to talk a little bit about somatic discernment. So what feels like a full body yes, and what is a full body no? Talking a little bit about dharmic remembrance and what it means to come into alignment with your dharma, with your creation, with what makes your soul feel alive and feel that full body yes as you are bringing this dream into creation. And finally, ending on how does gestation come through in this entire manifestation process? Because yes, we can send our order out to the universe, but there is a process for us to actually receive it. And that is what we are talking about, is how can you be in that in-between process? So to land us into our body, I am going to pass it off to Megan.
I'm going to invite everybody before we go any further to just gently close your eyes or keep a soft gaze and take a deep breath in, inhaling through the nose. On the exhale, sigh. And depending what time of the day it is while you're listening to this, just calling all parts of yourself back to your body, back to this moment. Allowing your awareness to land here. Feeling your body, the sensations you're experiencing, the textures of your clothing that may be touching your skin, the sounds in the space. If there's any smells or tastes that are lingering. And orient yourself into your body. And take another deep breath. Breathe in. And exhale. And remember, you are whole. You are complete. And you are here listening. When you're ready, you can open your eyes and reconnect with us here. So, to start us off with this topic, which we're noticing is actually a really difficult topic to discuss. And the resistance we're meeting right now has to do with the word manifestation. And we know that this word is used so often in pretty much all spiritual communities. And we're not going to say that it's not real, because that's not true. It just doesn't feel right or right for us in this moment when we're speaking about creating, when we're speaking about the dream, the things that we're wanting to bring into our reality. As much as that is the definition of manifestation, manifestation feels very forced. It feels very controlled. And we think that vision boarding and all these beautiful scripts that you could journal about are really great tools that could be part of the co-creative process, but calling it manifestation doesn't feel right for us. So as we're going to proceed in this episode, we are referring to what some people would call manifestation, but for us it's really the co-creative process, because it's not just us forcing something into our environment, our 3D reality, but a co-creation with God, the universe, source, whatever it is, this divinity that is working with us to bring and cultivate our dreams from this space that we don't actually know where it comes from, but that it is creating something from that space. So I think it's really important to name that, because we're both getting a little bit stuck over how do we speak about this, because we're still learning about what this means to co-create. And it's hard to speak about something that you're still in that process of gestating, in that process of understanding and embodying. So I think we're still in that, we're getting to understand what it means in our minds, but we know that in our body, it doesn't feel right to speak about it as manifestation, but it is a co-creation that we are referring to. And I'm going to pass it over to Milena to speak about the quantum, because this is her area of expertise and it really relates to a lot of what we're speaking about in terms of co-creation.
Thank you so much, Megan. And it's so interesting meeting the resistance about a topic that I feel like is so spoken about so often. And we really want to bring in the mind, which is so incredibly important. It's such an important tool that we have in our capacity as humans. But we also want to engage the body, because it's so important for both of these to be actively engaging in this process of co-creating and bringing this dream into fruition. And I do want to bring in Dr. Joe Dispenza's work in this process of explaining the creative process of our dreams. And it's so beautiful because he breaks it down into these two parts. When we're engaging our mind, this is where we focus on having the clear intention of what is the dream that we are choosing to create and to pour our energy into. And when I'm talking about intention and focusing on the clarity of that intention, oftentimes we may think to put ourselves into this future timeline and start naming all of the things that we see within that timeline. And yes, while that may be beautiful to envision and to have that dream, more than that, I'm talking about having a clarity of intention that comes from a place that is deep within yourself. What is what is the why behind this dream? What is the meaning? What is the motivation behind bringing this dream into reality? And when we are able to really get clear on what it is that we are creating, and we are so connected to this motivation that goes beyond ourselves, this is when we receive a clarity of intention that sends such a powerful electrical charge into what we are going to call and what is known as the quantum. So, when we are looking at the quantum within this framework of the womb, right, we're talking about the fullness. We're talking about this infinite potentiality of energy that is not limited by space and time. So, when we are creating, we are truly able to, as sovereign beings, tap into any of these potential timelines that exist. And when we have that clarity of intention, we're able to send an electric charge into the quantum that is equal to what it is that we want to create. And from there, this is the mind. Now, when we engage the body, this is where we are focusing on the feeling. What are the feelings within that dream that we want to experience? And so, when we're talking about the dream, oftentimes it's abundance. We want to experience love or this fulfillment or just actualization of expressing our soul, expressing something that feels deeply meaningful. And so when we are able to connect to those feelings in our body, truly amplifying this energy without needing to know how it looks like exactly. Because the more that you connect to this feeling in your body, as we mentioned in episode 1, the more that the clarity of what it actually looks like comes through. And so when we are able to bring this frequency into our body, we are sending out a magnetic signature into the quantum. And this is how we start to magnetize. We start to draw in the people, the places, the things that are meant to get us to that next step of creating this dream. And I think that beyond that, even beyond the clarity of intention of the mind, beyond the embodied frequency of that energy of what we desire to experience when this dream is already manifested, this is the body. Now, the third piece is sometimes what I find the hardest, and this is where the co-creative process comes in here, is letting go, is being able to let go of any control that you have of how this dream or when it is actually going to manifest. And it doesn't mean that you're not taking the active steps towards manifesting this dream or creating what it is that we want to bring into our reality. But ultimately, it is being able to let go of forcing and imposing our will onto the three-dimensional world. This is where the co-creative process comes in. And when we're asked to surrender to something greater, to a timeline that is out of our control, that is divinely orchestrated to be in the ways that we need, so that when we are actually closer to creating this dream, we have the capacity to hold it and to sustainably be with it and to continue to cultivate that dream once it has been birthed. Because as we know in the womb cycle, we allow it to gestate as much as it needs. And this is where we are able to surrender to this process, to become an energetic alignment with what it is that we want to create. And when we are able to surrender to that process and really allow it to take the time that it needs, this is when we become the manifestation itself. And this is where the easefulness, the flow of creating comes through in a way that is so incredibly undeniable. And I did just want to add this final point in terms of the clarity of intention in the mind that sends out our electrical signal, the embodied frequency of what it is to have that dream manifested right now in this present moment. This is the magnetic signature. And together we have the electromagnetic signature that we are sending out into the quantum, where we are setting a clear intention of what it is that we are creating, that we are calling in. And then we're also drawing in the things that we need to get there. And then we let go. And when we let go, this is where we are actually creating space within us to be gestated, to be in the process of creation. And again, it is because of who you become in the process that what you are creating is inevitable. It's going to happen regardless, because of who you've become. And this is the most important part of manifestation or creating or co-creating, whatever it is that resonates with you. But this is where we've really seen this truly is a co-creation with something greater. And that we are active participants in this co-creation, but we are not in control. And we're not meant to be, because what the dream that we are creating is so much greater than we could even think it.
You said that so beautifully, so eloquently. And I want to add, because as you were speaking, I was like, oof, I have a vulnerable share that I can bring in right here, right now. I have my Mind Over Matter tattoo that was inspired by Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza, which takes in a lot of what Milena just talked about. And something in this process of coming and noticing what my internal state is and how that's impacting my external reality and this process of co-creation. I am going to admit that I feel like I can admit this now, because I'm really not doing it close to as much as I've ever done it before. I love creating stories in my head. I love fantasies and imagination. And I can honestly say about 30 to 40% of my days usually would be me running make believe stories in my head of running into an ex partner and what I would say, running to a friend that I used to be in contact with, and like playing out these scenarios that most likely would never happen. But and this is how I would be stuck in these patterns of this is what was happening internally me. Yes, I was doing my day-to-day life and I was doing my jobs and doing whatever. But what was actually going on internally was keeping me stuck in the past, was keeping me stuck in these places that didn't even exist anymore in the present. But I would keep perpetuating them over and over in my head with no goal, with just to find, I guess, some form of resolution that I felt I didn't have yet. But I was never really getting to said resolution because these stories kept on going for a really long time. And I am really proud and grateful to say I have noticed I have landed in a space in my life in this present moment where I catch myself starting to do a story and I go, no, thank you. I stop the story. I have choice over stopping these stories that were running my mind space, were on the screen in my mind, and they no longer have space there. They do try to start. I'm not going to say that they don't try to start. My ego loves to start these stories, but I have come to a place in my own body and in this process of becoming where I can stop them. I have choice over stopping them. And it's so empowering. The time, the creative energy, this co-creation of my actual manifestations and desires is happening so much faster. It's so much clearer. And I really want to share that this process is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. But that is an example of what Milena talked about, that how this could happen in real life. So that was something I wanted to add. I don't know if you want to add anything that came through.
Thank you so much for, I think, just talking about the human experience. I feel like a lot of us, we try to hide these things that the mind does. It's all operations of the ego to try to keep us in what's familiar, what's predictable. And, oftentimes I do want to add this. Oftentimes when we've been used to suffering, we can perpetuate that in our lives continuously when there isn't this perspective of something greater than that state of being. And I think that oftentimes, simply because something is familiar, we may get stuck in stories, we may get stuck in a state of being that we don't actually consciously want to be in. And I feel like this is where a lot of us can get stuck in this victim mindset of feeling that you are constrained by your current space, time, and reality. And I found that I was able to actually break free more. Again, I feel like this is just a continuous part of the human experience when walking this path of sovereignty. I found that I was able to break free more from this cycle of just continuous suffering when I was able to actually see something greater than my life, greater for my life than what I was currently experiencing or what I have experienced in the past. When I'm not using the past as a reference for my future, and when I'm not putting any limitations of what that dream is, I've been able to tap into states of being that I've either not experienced, I may have or don't remember, or I just don't experience often. Because I'm putting myself in this timeline that goes beyond my past. It goes beyond my present. And it allows me to connect to something that is possible. It's possible. And it's that belief. That is the ultimate belief here that will open you up to any creation that you want to bring to the world, is the belief that it's possible. And I think that this is one of the most important things, because you cannot sustainably take steps towards something that goes against a core belief of yours. And again, like Megan said, this is why it is a process, because you're truly going through all of the limitations within yourself between you right now in this present moment and the dream that you want to create. It's where's that resistance? Where are you meeting that resistance? And knowing that the only way out is through. You got to go through it to become aware of what are the limitations? Where do you feel that you've reached a dead end? And then get curious, stay open, and question it. Honesty. And it's so beautiful, Megan, how you mentioned that these stories come up and it's become this no thank you. But before even getting to the no thank you, it's just having the mindfulness, creating the mindfulness where you can create that space between the story and you, and knowing that you are able to observe the story, but you are not the story. The story is not your truth. And when you're able to create that space ultimately is being able to just have non-judgmental awareness towards yourself. Just be present with it. Don't judge it. Don't make it wrong. Don't need to change it or fix it. And when you can just be in that space of presence with these things, these narratives, these beliefs, the resistance, the fear, the scarcity, the suffering, that is when you're able to bring more awareness to it and to have more autonomy over how you're choosing to actively co-create moving forward.
Yes. And I want to add like tools, how to do this, because we've just spoken a lot about what this is, what it could look like, but how to do this. And somatic discernment has been the key into all of this. Recognizing when something feels in resonance versus when something feels in dissonance has been cues that, again, this is part of that becoming of developing and even learning what resonance feels like for you and learning what dissonance feels like for you. And knowing that our souls, they speak through frequency. So if we're tuning into that frequency of resonance versus tuning into that frequency of dissonance, we're building our own capacity to discern between the two of them and know, okay, so I know this is this for me and this is this for me. Now I have choice. Do I want to keep choosing what's out of alignment for me? Discernment being out of alignment, or do I want to pick resonance, which is in alignment with me? And that's all comes back to the body. So everything we talked about in the last episode, those sensations, your clairs, those are cues that you're getting to learn from your intuition speaking to you. Now, okay, let's tune in even deeper. What is your intuition saying? How is your resonance speaking to you? And resonance is usually clarity. For how me and Milana have experienced it, it feels like clarity, like this veil of fog has just lifted and it feels clear as day. All the answers are not there. That's not what we're experiencing. But this clarity, this lightness, this openness, this receiving that our bodies experience when we are in complete resonance and alignment with whatever we're speaking about doing, whatever we're like, oh, we want to start doing that. Like it just is felt. It's so deeply felt in the body. And dissonance, on the other hand, and that's why I'm not saying for everybody is going to feel like this, because as we talked last time, with the interoception feeling, like all of us have our own experiences with this. And it's so important for each of us to go on our own journeys to distinguish what are my body cues that mean resonance and what are my body cues that mean dissonance. But for us, dissonance has been resistance. We've been meeting a lot of resistance in this episode, and I think we finally landed in that point of clarity and flow and resonance in what we're both saying. But resistance for us that's our dissonance. That's our body saying, your mind is going somewhere and is on a tangent saying something that I don't agree with. Like it's literal blocks that we feel in our bodies, or we shut down, or both of us just get frustrated and like, I'm not making sense and I don't even know what's coming out of my mouth, or I'm completely dissociated. And that is what the resistance is. The dissonance of the body and the mind are not on the same page. But when your body, your mind, and your soul are completely on the same page, it's clarity, it's clear, it flows, there's alignment, there's resonance, there's remembrance. And I also want to say that the dissonance, it's not negative. If anything, dissonance is our compass. It's telling us, it's pointing us in the direction of, okay, let's course correct. You're not on the right tracks right now. Let's pivot. And I think a lot of people, when they feel the resistance, are natural, or what we're taught to do is shut down, is to run away, because then we go into fight or flight. and we don't get curious. We do the opposite. We don't want to get curious. We put up a wall. We want to protect ourselves. And I want to really extend the invitation of curiosity in this process, because curiosity is, I see it as this medicine to somatic discernment. When we become curious, and it builds off of what Milena said about the non-judgment, when we're not judging ourselves, when we're not judging our bodies, when we're not judging any of the cues that are coming up, and we're just allowing them to be what they are and to be the wisdom, because that's really what it is. It's wisdom that our body is telling us, and we just have to listen.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just had something come through so strongly as you were saying that, which is oftentimes we resist is not the dissonance itself. It's what the dissonance is calling us forward into. That may look like taking a step back from spaces that you were once in. That may look like setting boundaries with certain people in your life at this time. That may look like honoring yourself first. And the people pleaser in you is not going to like that.
No.
And so oftentimes that's the thing, is these messages, it's our body letting us know what we need. And when we actually allow ourselves to be with it and not make it wrong, we're honoring ourselves. That's such a deep act of self-love and authenticity. It's like, this is what's truly present for me right now. And that's the most authentic way to honor yourself.
And I love it, because resonance, it just brings you deeper into truth, deeper into integrity with yourself. And even when it doesn't feel like, when the people pleaser's like, but we're hurting people's feelings, but that's what feels right for you. That's what you need. And I think it's such a beautiful process of getting real intimate with yourself in this somatic discernment and just this co-creating with the universe. That happens while you're dreaming the dream, while you're gestating your dreams.
And I do want to say one more thing for all of my people pleasers on here, because I think that most women have a people pleaser that lives inside of them. And can't speak for men because I have not been hosting men's circles, but I can definitely speak for women. And I do just want to say that when you are truly committed to this path of self-exploration and self-actualization, ultimately, because that is what we are doing in the creative process. We are actualizing the truest expression for ourselves in this moment. And when we do that, that is going to bring us through this process, again, like I said, of being very, very, very strong in what we are doing and our why. This is where our why is going to get us through. This is where the why, it's like, this is so much greater than just me. Like, this is this, I truly believe that this is something that has so much value that it can benefit so many people who have, even if it's just one person, we're not talking about these like empires, but just whatever it is that you are creating, it's valuable. And that's also going to look like not making other people's reactions your responsibility. When you're creating those boundaries, when you're allowing this process to gestate you and being very, very, very true to who you are in that moment. And I do feel like we will definitely touch on this so much more when we talk about energetic boundaries in future episodes, but just wanted to give permission to the people pleasers on here to honor yourself, because that is an act of love. And I do feel like this is going to bring us into our next part of this episode, which I think also I want to maybe add more clarity to this. And this is dharmic remembrance. I feel like Dharma is something that, it's a term that's thrown out there a lot, again, within the spiritual community. And the way that I've had it introduced to me is that the Dharma is ultimately this like super big soul calling, soul mission, legacy that we want to leave in the world. And it just kind of adds so much pressure. It adds so much pressure to be clear on what our Dharma is and to know exactly what's the thing that we're meant to do in the world and what's the purpose for our existence and giving meaning to life. And while this path of exploring perhaps what that Dharma may be, ultimately, when I think of Dharma, I just think of soul actualization, where your soul is here. It is expressing, whether that is the wisdom, whether that is the gifts, the skills, whatever it is that you naturally, innately are gifted in, are good at, feel drawn towards, especially the things that we love to do as a child. These are the things that we naturally gravitate towards. These are the ways that our soul naturally feels to express. For me, I literally sang my entire life. And despite closing so much of that off out of shame of not being good or it not being perfect, I stopped expressing. But that was always something that I loved doing. And when I was able to finally remove these illusions, these layers of shame and just perfectionism and pressure and judgment, I was able to actually blossom into this beautiful work that I do now with sound healing. And again, I don't know if ultimately this is my greatest purpose in the world, but I know that my soul feels so expressed when I am doing it. And it's something that I don't even know how I do it, but I just do. And it's so natural. And it did take curiosity. It did take exploration to even get here. It took connecting to my inner child. And that is ultimately what led me to this point here, to even be able to feel the aliveness that I do when I sing. Whereas before I felt so ashamed and so timid and just so disempowered. And it's so beautiful to see how the more that we actually allow ourselves to get out of the way, when we're in this process of self-exploration, when we're seeing what it is that feels like a full body yes. What is it that lights you up? What is it that your inner child loved to do, loved to play with, was curious about? Those are the ways that we are opening up to greater exploration of what is our Dharma? What is something that our unique soul is gifted with and that we are blessed to be able to bring into the world through our creations. And I do just want to also, normalize this. I feel like for Megan and I, it's been Venusian womb. But for my mom, that was being a mother. That was being able to nurture a being and to be such a big, crucial part of their becoming and their unfolding. And for someone else, it can be being an artist, being a songwriter, being a lawyer, whatever that looks like, right? But are you honoring your soul gifts? Are you honoring what is unique to you that no one could possibly do in the way that you can? This is how we are ensouling. We are bringing soul into our world and into our creations. And this is where we find remembrance, when we are actually able to follow the little breadcrumbs of where our soul is leading us, of where our inner child is leading us. This is where we can truly connect to, this is my path. This is what lights me up. This is where my bliss is leading me to. And the more that we allow ourselves to give into that, wherever that leads you, because it will lead you in ways that your mind is like, blah, 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 blah. What are you doing? How do we make sense? It's not computing. And it's not supposed to. It's not supposed to, because the soul doesn't speak from the mind. It speaks from the body. It speaks from your spirit. It speaks from your energy. And I just want to say that, if you're questioning what your Dharma is in the world, I invite you to connect to your inner child, to be playful. Just let yourself play. Let yourself see the world with new eyes, with fresh eyes, without limitations, without this fear that's been conditioned in us. And especially without scarcity, knowing that when we are actually truly following our soul and truly following the gifts that we are meant to share, when we are speaking from this place, it's felt. When people see you create something from such a deep part of yourself, it resonates. It's the energy speaks for itself. And that inevitably is going to magnetize more people to your creation. That is inevitably going to bring more people that are going to see the soul in it. And they're going to say, thank you. Thank you for sharing your art because of what it inspired in me. And this is how we are all just walking each other home and exploring, what is my becoming? What is my Dharma? What is my legacy? What do I want to leave in the world? What am I here to create? That only I can.
I feel so...
Dharma.
Dharma. And before ending this episode, I do want to loop us back around just to how this relates to gestation. And I want to speak about faith and the trust in that the process is going to unfold in all the right ways that it's meant to. And just this trust, because this is not happening from the mind. None of this is happening from the mind. It is happening in the body. And you don't have to check in with your baby that's gestating in the womb. Like, is everything going good in there? Do you need, like, it's just this trust that it's all unfolding the way it's meant to. And the same for the dreams and the co-creation with the dreams. And it's that letting go, that piece of letting go that Milena was talking. It's that faith that is needed. You need to have faith when you're dreaming, especially when you're in that process of co-creation. Because if you're trying to control your dream, you're not going to go very far. We tried to control this entire episode from beginning to end. And let me tell you, it took us a good hour before we were able to flow with it. And we just said, screw the script. Screw the script. We don't need it. You have to just have faith in what you're doing, because everything that's happening in this gestation, in this fertile ground, this voidy area, you can't see it. It's invisible. It's unseen. And you just have to trust that what's happening behind the curtain is happening for you and in all the right steps that's meant to come for you. I don't know. I said that twice, but I think you guys know what I meant.
I also want to say the faith is our belief. The faith is our belief. The more that we believe in our ability to create, the more that we believe in what the value is of what we're creating, the more that we are able to give ourselves into the process, the more faith that we can cultivate. And I mean, I just hear the song Hope by NF. And I truly do invite anyone that feels called to light that fire in them in relation to their dream. And ultimately, your dream is going to bring you in a process of unfolding and gestation and becoming that, regardless of what the outcome is, you are going to receive so much from the process. So much from the process that in itself is so incredibly valuable.
So we want to thank you all for tuning into our episode 2. We hope that you were inspired in some way, shape, or form. And we would love, love, love to hear from you, your thoughts, what came up for you, what was felt during the episode in the comments, anywhere, or you could reach out to us. We also want to extend the invitation to join our Venusian Womb Collective, where we go even deeper into these topics. And next episode, next Friday, we are going to be talking about the shadow. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, are we excited. We love the shadow, and we have become very well acquainted with our shadows. We have lots and lots and lots of juiciness to share about it. So thank you.
I just want to say my ego does not love the shadow. My ego actually would rather not be acquainted with the shadow, to be honest, because it's so triggering. And then my ego has to accept that I'm not perfect. I'm flawed. I'm not special.
No.
What? Oh, that's crazy. The humility that comes through when you meet your shadow. But also, I find that the amount of fear that just dissolves when you're finally able to see that part of you that you've been running away from. Like, oh, this is what I've been running from. Oh, but it's just me. And I'm able to create myself anew. I'm able to rebirth myself in any given moment. Yeah. And I just wanted to just tease a little bit, because I know that it's a little bit of an edgy topic, but this could also be fun. It could also be explorative. It could be a little edgy, but Don't we all love a good challenge?
Oh, we do.
So again, inviting you to meet us here next Friday. And thank you for listening. We're so grateful to have you here. Thank you for joining us inside the Venusian Womb. If this episode spoke to something within you, we'd be so grateful if you left us a review or rating. It truly helps our podcast grow and reach more beautiful souls who are on this journey of becoming.
You can also share this episode with someone who may resonate with this message. Sometimes the right words arrive exactly when needed the most. Remember, growth takes time, and everything you're becoming is unfolding exactly as it's meant to.
May this Venusian code activate the Venusian energy within you. Until next time, take a breath, trust the timing, and keep tending to the dream within.
With love, Milena and Megan.